Hello, 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 kinky people.
Part two.
We are doing part 2 of the episode where we talk about saturation and how to determine fit. But before we start, I would like to do my standard intro. We are the Journey Unleashed. I am Dr. Blue, and I'm here with Sir Phoenix Black. Say hi, Sir Phoenix Black.
Hi, Sir Phoenix Black.
Is that gonna be your thing now?
Is that gonna be my thing? Yeah, maybe. It might be like Russell Simmons. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Be blessed. Whatever you used to say at the end of Def Comedy Jam. I might be aging myself by saying talking about Def Comedy Jam.
You might be aging yourself just a bit.
I think most of the people out in our audience,
I don't know now,
fall in that category.
Might be some youngins that might be like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, well then don't petition me if you don't know anything about it. If you don't know about Def Comedy Jam, do not petition me. Don't ask to be my mentee, play partner, nothing. Just stay over there. Don't send me no friend request or nothing. Def Comedy Jam. Maybe I'll put that on my fit page. Def Comedy Jam is a prerequisite for a petition.
Oh my goodness. We are really acting up today. Let me get started. We want you to remember that this is a casual convo for the betterment of our kinky peeps to explore diverse perspectives through dialogue. We are not preaching the gospel here. We are so not teaching. We are learning as we go, and the views expressed here today may change next week because we are ever learning and ever evolving kinky humans. Okay, so we were talking about fit.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about in part 1. And we were talking about how you can reach a point of saturation where you can't really handle any more relationships. If you're not careful and if you don't know, if you're not self-aware about what you can handle, how much you can handle, and so forth. Or on the flip side of that, you can get into a situation with someone who is saturated if you're not paying attention to the kind of the signs of saturation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you're, you have a certain amount of time that you want to spend with that person, you have to know what that is and be very clear and very honest with yourself. Yes. So that you can say, look, this is the amount of time that I would like to spend, or these are the kinds of interactions that I want to have with you. This is what's important for me to feel like we're in the kind of relationship that I want. And give that person a clear picture of what you want and what you have to offer. And I think we talk a lot about this idea of wanting more attention. But you'll be surprised at how many people don't want a lot of attention. And they kind of get, shunned a little bit for not wanting attention, not wanting to be touched. And I know people. They don't like to hug. They don't like a lot of affection, and mm-hmm. folks who are very affectionate. I'm very affectionate. I'm one of them touchy-feely, huggy people. Some of us touchy-feely, huggy people, we snub our noses a little bit at folks who don't want to, have a lot of attention and are not, not all this lovey-dovey stuff. Yes!
Judgment.
Yes, we do that. And I think it makes people afraid to admit what they really want, and what they really need. But it will get on a person's nerves if they're a huggy-feely, touchy person and the person that they are with is not that way. So it's not just about, I guess I don't want to present
that goes to the A of fat. Attention.
Okay, what was the first thing? Focus and
attention and time.
Yes, focus is so that's the thing, not just the type, the amount of attention, but the type of attention,
yes,
is important too. So it's about knowing what you want, and we might not even know what we want if we've never been in a situation, in a TPE or PE. We don't know what we want. We may not be sure what we want. We may not be sure what we can give. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to use myself as an example.
We do that a lot.
Use ourselves as an
yes.
example? Okay, well.
It's fine.
It's okay, right? But
we know who knows us better than us.
Well,
so
indeed. I don't mind telling people about the things that I figured out, later on down the line after I tried this and, but when I had, this is my first live-in situation. I've never been in a live-in. I had one other dynamic, one other power exchange dynamic, and it was it ended. Let's just leave it there. It ended. We were not a good fit. Okay, that was my conclusion. We were not a very good fit. That person was looking for something, and I was looking for something else, and we were not going to find it together.
So let me ask you this, to kind of give an example. Was that situation where you all had different focus? Was it that you all had different levels of good fit as far as focus, a good fit as far as attention, a good fit as far as time? Where in there was the biggest problem?
I think time wasn't. It was a long distance situation, right. And at that time in my life, a long distance situation was good for me. That's why I said that in the last part of this episode, because long distance is what worked, but because of the way my life was set up, I couldn't have I just didn't have time for that.
Okay, so you all were good fit as far as time. Attention.
The kinds of attention that we gave each other was a mismatch.
Okay.
And then also the focus was a mismatch. So those were the two parts that were mismatched.
So only part of that you all were matched well with was time.
Was the time.
Because of his situation and because of his circumstance and your circumstances, time was fine. Mm-hmm. But the other two was way mismatched.
Right. And even if we were, because a lot of, people say, well, maybe if you were in person, it would have been better. I don't think so. Because I think what would have happened is, in terms of the focus and attention issues, I think that would have been magnified if we had been in person. I mean, in local. Mm-hmm. Because there would have been more opportunities for us to meet out our misaligned focus and misaligned attention on each other, because we would have been local.
So it would have
exacerbated.
It would have
crashed even faster.
Okay.
So I think being long distance actually extended the length of the relationship, because it was harder for us to spend all this time around each other, and that lack of time helped to kind of mask the misfit that we had, but the thing about it is, when I got into the relationship with you, I had a vision in my mind of what this was going to look like, you know what I mean, and what I was going to be able to do, and I had so much. Oh, I cannot tell you. I was dreamy, and then like 3 months in, I was like, Jesus, Lord, oh God.
So that goes to one of the things that kind of goes into fit too, is the basis of the fantasy view versus what is reality.
And I mean, sometimes we do have to try, and that's one thing I guess that made us a good fit, is that this was your first live-in situation too.
Yes.
So because it was both of our first live-in situations, I couldn't be mad at him for the missteps he made. I couldn't hold that. He couldn't really be mad at me for the missteps I made. We were both figuring this out. And that's what we realized. We're still norming. We're still, even as we're in our second, about to be 2 years, we're still figuring out how we make this go, where our comfort levels are in terms of everything, how to balance our regular old vanilla lives with this other stuff that we do together and that we enjoy together, and the ways in which we connect. So I just think it's like, to me, that makes sense. That makes sense for new. And I know a lot of S-types, they do not want to deal with an inexperienced dominant. They're like, no, I need somebody experienced. But I look at it like this: he gonna have to deal with you. You don't have any experience, or he or she. I shouldn't say. Let me make sure I don't be gender biased. He or she, they are gonna have to deal with you. And you don't have experience. So I'm just like, it's okay to be with someone, and I think it's all right to be with someone who is inexperienced, as long as they are. In the last one of those other past episodes, where I talked about the things that I look for in a dominant, that the person is eager to learn, that they're doing their homework, that they have high levels of integrity. Those qualities can exist in someone who is new to this. You know what I mean? And who wants to be right for the world, who wants to do what is right for the world, and that kind of person, that could be an excellent dominant you're passing up because you are worried about that whole blind leading the blind thing. No, y'all can figure this out together.
And I think
in that case, that works. You can figure that out together.
I think I think those are the things that are, and my house principles, for those that have not heard in the previous episodes, are HART, HARRT, honor, accountability, responsibility, respect, and transparency. So, and it's the same, and I think it's the same thing. Someone who has a lot of honor, a lot of integrity, who has a thirst for trying to self-improve and stuff like that, that comes across the board, whether you've been in the lifestyle, 3 months or 3 years or 33 years. Someone that is looking for self-improvement. So being an inexperienced dominant, I know submissives like to, they like to experience dominance, but if you're a new submissive and you having a dominant that's got 15 years worth of experience, your learning curve gonna be hard. Mm-hmm. So you might want someone who can be, and not only that, if you have an experienced dominant, they might be they probably gonna have a little less patience.
That's what I was gonna say. They may not have time for all that. They may not have time to be trying to help you figure it out.
Right. You have you're a fairly new submissive, a fairly new dominant. You all have to extend each other a sense of grace and benevolence.
Yes, everybody needs grace and mercy. Everybody needs grace and mercy.
You have a dominant that's been in it 33 years and you've been in it 3 months, you're probably gonna be
I know that's how I feel sometimes. And I mean, I know it may seem mean, but I have been the test dummy for polyamory. I've been the test dummy for women looking at, they're trying to figure out if they like women or not. And I'm tired. I am tired of answering the same old questions all the time or dealing with the same old issues that come up. Jealousy issues, insecurity shit that people, that if you just put a little work into it, over time you'll get past it, but they don't know what to do with it now because it's brand new. And it takes patience for someone to be bothered with that, and especially if it's something that they've already kind of grown through and kind of, I got challenges. I got lots of them, but not those. I've done that shit already, so I don't get mad at someone who's kind of been at this a while and kind of gotten through. I mean, just think about it. For those of you who have been around for a couple of years, okay, and I mean, this may not apply to everyone because people have different levels of patience, but I know somewhere out there, someone who's listening is feeling what I'm getting ready to say. You're in a group talking to people, or maybe on Facebook or whatever, and someone asks, and y'all start talking about FetLife, and they say, "Oh, what is FetLife?" You looking like
I had that experience.
Okay. Or you use the term TPE and they don't have a clue what the hell that is. For a person who's been in a lifestyle and been communicating via Facebook groups for years, how many times they've had to answer that question? Just like me in polyamory groups. Someone says, "Oh, what's parallel poly?" And I'm like, "Oh, Lord, Jesus, oh, Lord." Because I'm tired.
But even saying that, someone took the time.
Yes, they did.
With me, someone took the time with you.
Yes, they did.
And, it's part of the human condition that you get frustrated. But right. I do, like, that's where it goes to about being eager to learn and doing some of your own research.
Yeah, there are glossaries online. There's lots of online information that will tell you what these terms mean.
Remember,
but I spent time telling people. I've spent time explaining things to people. I've had people inbox me that I didn't know from a can of paint, asking me for advice about their situation, and I've graciously helped them. For years, I've done that. So at this point, I'm kind of like, let somebody else do it for a while.
Well, let's use this for example. This just happened yesterday, didn't it? Where a certain person who is looking to come into the lifestyle asked about Subspace.
Yes.
I was like, just forward them the podcast.
Right.
Here's the episode. Forward it to him.
Yes.
I'm not about to go through all. I got that. That's part of the perk of having this too.
Yes.
I can just forward it to you. Here you go, brother. Here's 35 minutes of explanation on it.
Yes. And I think too, going forward in our future episodes, it'd be a good idea to include show notes where we can put, like, someone may say, "Oh, there's a glossary. I've never seen that." Someone listening, I'm gonna put a link to those things in the notes for the recording, so you can go and find this stuff. We didn't
kind of veered off.
We have veered off, but I was getting back, coming on back around. The point I'm making
you want spaghetti junction. You just driving all around now.
If the point I'm making is that when we are well matched in different ways that matter to us, okay, because what matters to different people, maybe different stuff, but in the ways that matter to us, when we're well matched, you'll be able to sustain a relationship, and the relationship will thrive, even in the face of challenges. And we've definitely had challenges, but we're able to have grace and mercy with each other because we remind each other, we are still learning. We are still figuring each other out. We are still norming our relationship. We are doing that. And so it's going to be some bumps, some bruises. There's going to be some mishaps and some kerfuffles. They're going to be that. Okay. And so you take that and you don't hold it in and as something bad, and you just work through it, learn from it, and pass it on. Go ahead on, let it pass until, till you get to the next one. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this to try to, because we are always fighting against time to
yes,
make sure we try to stay on topic.
So. And we're talking about fit.
Right. So let me ask you this. I'll ask you some things you had.
Okay.
You can come from it from your side. I'll come from it my side.
Okay.
The things that will affect fit.
Okay.
And should be considered in the consideration process on both sides.
Some things I think should be before you even get to consideration. Vetting, okay. You can, some of this stuff. But we can talk about it.
So, and I know this is going to be a touchy one. Let's say the dominant that you have vetted, and you're now, let's just say you're even in consideration, has mental health issues.
Well, that for me is not necessarily a deal breaker. It depends on the needs of that person, and everybody has different needs. So for me, that's not a deal breaker.
Now,
it depends on what it is. I am very aware of how much mental energy and emotional energy I can output to other people without it dipping into my own and making me feel drained. Mm-hmm. And I've learned over time from raising children and from relationships and from having close, intimate friends and all of that, I figured out how much of that I can do, how much of it I have to kind of, protect my own energy and kind of replenish myself and give myself what I need to stay lifted and to keep my cup filled. You can't give from an empty cup. Okay. So for me, it depends on what the person is dealing with. And then two, I would move the relationship probably slower. It would probably be a more slowly evolving relationship. Because I would want to let life happen so I can observe the person and how they respond to all the different facets of life. I mean, if we're talking about, being in this kind of relationship where I have to put my life in your hands, and I'm speaking from a submissive point of view, I got to put my life in your hands. I need to know that whatever your issue is stabilized, because I can't put my life in your hands in that way if it's not. You see what I mean? It's not, people can't help that, but you can take care of your health. You know what I'm saying? And keep your mental health.
So if it's so basically, if it's well given time and it being well managed, that's fine for you.
It may be. It depends on what the nature of it is. Because some of these things.
I said, but if it's well managed.
Yes, if it's well managed.
It's well managed.
That's a case by case situation there.
Okay. Now let me give you from the dominant side. First of all, I agree with the fact time, and if it's being well managed. Now, I think it's probably true on both sides of the slash, though. Someone with mental health issues is probably going to require more attention.
They may. It depends on the issue.
That's why I said probably.
It depends on the issue.
Probably going to require more attention. Now, let's say hypothetically, I have two other submissives, and now we're in the consideration phase, and during that time, the consideration or vetting, either one, that we touch upon the fact that you have a mental health issue. Now I have to, as the dominant, I have to decide, I already have two submissives. This is a person that has mental health issues, which probably will require a greater level of attention. Do I have the mental resources to do that for someone and not neglect my other two submissives?
And the rest of your life.
And the rest of your life. That's a lot of balls to jump.
Well, now I want to add a spin to that. Because what if you have certain expectations for certain attention given to you by your submissives, and this person's mental health issue kind of, prohibits them from giving you that attention? What about that? Because that can happen too. People always think that a person with mental health issues is needier, but that's not always the case. Not always the case. If I were with a dominant and they had a mental health issue, or hell, it could just be a personality issue. They don't want to really talk to me that much. I don't know about that. And that ain't got nothing to do with the mental health issue. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I need to be able to talk to you. That's just me. So just that issue, outside of the mental health issue, that would be an issue that would make us a bad fit. You know what I mean? I can't get what I need from the relationship. So maybe we can have some other kind of relationship though. Mm-hmm. But just not this kind. Not this kind where this is, because I'm non-monogamous. This is a poly perk. I call it a poly perk. You can have different kinds of relationships with different people. You don't have to try to put all your needs and desires and things onto one person. You can spread your need around. Spread it around.
In power exchange relationships, I don't know. That's tricky.
Well, I think in power exchange relationships that's true, and maybe in power exchange relationship, we wouldn't be able to have that. Maybe we could be play partners though. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Now here's the other thing. Even with someone who has mental health issues, I know we veering all.
No, this is about fit.
We 285 spaghetti junction. We all over.
Well, but we talking about fit still. So as long as we're talking about fit.
But let's say for mental health issues. For someone who has a mental health issue, well, on either side of the slash, there's a level of attention that you're going to be looking for.
Maybe it's a type of attention.
It might be the type of attention.
Yeah. Not an amount, maybe.
Well, it could be both.
It could be both, or either.
So there's so many factors that go into someone who has a mental health issue. Is it well managed? Are you going to be okay with the idea of being in a power exchange relationship with someone who is long distance? That's another twist to the relationship.
Yes, there could be if it's a determination of fit.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times I think we worry too much. Not just one last thing about the mental health issue. A lot of times I think we worry too much about how a person's mental health issue is going to affect their ability to be in a relationship. And I guess the point I'm trying to make there is that some of the things that we attribute to someone's mental health issue is not really that. It's just them. Mm-hmm. They would have that if they didn't have a mental health issue. Okay, so it's really not about the mental health issue. It's about them. It's about their personality, their needs and wants, and if that is aligned with yours. Mm-hmm. That I think, and sometimes I feel like we judge people and we condemn people. There's some stigma attached to having a mental health issue, so we automatically start assigning traits to people and saying that, oh, that must be because of their mental health issue. And I don't think so. Sometimes it's just them. That's just who they are. And I think and
how well you can manage it. Like for example, I'll use example of some people that I know. I know a lot of S types who have issues, and I had this in vanilla relating too. Have issues with anxiety.
I have issues with anxiety.
I handle those kind of things pretty doggone well.
Yeah, I have issues with anxiety.
Those that have, and I think some of that is also because I have a very kind of calming kind of energy about myself as it is.
Yes.
So someone with anxiety, they don't bother me at all.
And I mean, I think that anxiety issues manifest themselves differently from person to person too. Yeah. So again, when you think about fit, that's why it's good to do that vetting and consideration, because when you think about fit, you get to see, trying to determine fit, you get to see how people react to the things in their life, how they react to you. This tells you if this person is somebody that y'all can get together and be, reasonably calm together.
Now,
You know,
now how about
not so much chaos, and not so many extra challenges that you don't need to have.
another wrinkle in the mental health thing? When you are in a power exchange relationship, it is, as you know, tremendously intimate.
Yes, very.
Tremendously intimate. Will this person be able to handle the level of interdependence that comes from these types of relationships?
Well,
that's something.
And see, that may not be related to a mental health issue.
Right, but
there are some people.
But if it goes bad, it can be exacerbated.
Some people, it doesn't. They don't have a documented issue, and they still act a fool when stuff goes bad. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It may not have nothing to do with the mental health issue. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They still, But yes, I do get your point about that. I do get your point about that. And I think just being able to watch people and determine how the ways in which they handle challenging situations or strife or, perceived negative things happening to them. How do they handle those things in their life? How do they handle it? If they handle it in ways that kind of align with how you manage things, then y'all will be okay. But if you get somebody who is, does some wild stuff when they get upset or whatever, mm-hmm. then and that's unpalatable for you, then y'all might not be a good fit. Some people don't mind the antics. Some people are okay with the antics. I know people that are okay with the antics. They're okay.
Dominance?
Yes. I met a couple people that they deal with it just fine. They don't ruffle their feathers one bit. They deal with it all right.
Well,
I've known a couple.
It depends. Well, I know some too. But no, actually, let me take it back. I know some too.
Yeah.
But it depends on the antics with me.
Well, with you don't really like antics.
I sure as hell don't.
It don't depend on.
So we can put that out there too. If you got severe antics, don't send me no friend request.
So okay,
I accept anxiety.
But with minimal antics.
But minimal antics.
So thinking about other things to determine fit. So we talked about, this idea. Oh, you talked about focus. What's the focus? I'm one of those kind of, I'm playful, but I'm serious about learning and about this as a personal growth movement for me. Mm-hmm. So that's, to me, I need to be with someone who is along, vibing like that. Mm-hmm. I think sexuality is an issue. If you let's just say I'm a submissive and you're my potential and you have another submissive and she's bi. If I am straight and you want your submissives to be bi so that they can make love together, then I may not be a good fit for your household, sir. I just might not. Because the thing is, you don't want to be pressuring somebody or pressuring yourself to have sexual relations that you do not want to have.
I completely agree.
So there is that. And I know a lot of D-types, especially male heterosexual D-types, like to see women going at it sexually. I know this to be a fact by a woman here for my whole life. Everybody ain't down with that. So if I know I'm hetero and I'm not getting ready to get down with your other sub like that, then I don't care how delicious you might look as a dominant or your domnificence is overwhelming and I'm taken completely and oh my God, him. If that's my situation, I'm going to have to say no. I'm not going to petition you because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm being ordered to make love to your other submissive and I'm not attracted to her. I don't believe we should put ourselves in those kind of situations. So I think sexuality stuff, and I use that as an example, but I'm thinking sexuality, sexual compatibility across the board is important. Mm-hmm. The kinds of sex you want to have, some people don't even want sex to be a part of the dynamic. And if you get with someone like that and you want sex, y'all probably going to be mismatched, mm-hmm. Or vice versa. So I think that's important too. To think about in terms of fit. You want to make sure that especially if you're a situation with a dominant that doesn't want you to have any other partners, then you are going to be monogamous with that person, and you definitely want to make sure that you can get your needs met with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really think that's why a lot of monogamous relationships go bad, vanilla and otherwise, simply because they can't get all their needs met by that one person, and they feel stifled, and they feel they feel like they're missing something.
Especially if sexuality is higher on the priority list. Then yes, that's gonna be a problem.
That's gonna be a problem.
I don't have a problem having a service submissive. A submissive that is just for service. I don't have a problem. I'm definitely big on personal growth, as far as a submissive as well. Some people they have a different priority about it. I'm not knocking. I'm not yucking anybody's yum.
Nope.
But some people just have a different priority when it comes to that kind of stuff. Believe me, I love to play and I love sex just as much as the next person. but it is a understanding of the fit of how you all fit as far as sexuality, as far as
even
service,
play
as far
too.
as play, as far as personal growth, all of that kind of stuff. I get a kick out of on FetLife. They have a kink, two kinks that always kind of stick out to me. Is spiritual BDSM, which I think is I definitely feel a more leaning towards myself. 1950s household, which really the underlying statement of that would tend to think more service oriented kind of focus as far as your DS goes. Mm-hmm. But what seems to always get the main focus on FET is the sexual.
Well, yeah. People like sex.
People like sex.
They like sex. I ain't mad.
At you. But you'll never see no videos on FET of, at least I haven't seen any videos on FET about someone serving tea. Or boot blacking. I haven't seen them.
That boot blacking is so good.
I don't see that on FET. I don't see like, I'm looking for some boot blacking videos.
Yes, I want some boot blacking videos.
I want some tea service videos, some cigar service videos. You got them cigar service videos, dog? What's up? I want to see two of them doing the cigar service at the same time.
At the same time.
You'll never see random service videos popping up in your inbox.
Boot blacking orgy.
Boot blacking orgy. You'll see that.
Child.
That show you where the focus is, baby.
So that too, I think, is another issue is kinks. Do you have compatible kinks? Now, I want to talk. I'm put us out there again one more time, and we're actually running on time now with this episode again because this topic I think is one that's kind of we like. But before we go, one thing I want to talk about briefly is you just said, and I think that was the part one of this, where you talked about you weren't exactly comfortable with admitting that you were a sadist. Right. So he just got there not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's a recent a recent evolution.
Yes.
That I've completely accepted.
That he's embraced. But he couldn't tell me when we were vetting that he was a sadist. He couldn't tell me that. He didn't know that really 100%. And even if he did know that he had those tendencies, he was not ready to embrace it yet. He didn't feel comfortable. So I didn't realize how much of a sadist he was when we
Lord, you
were
just putting
vetting.
me out there, Lord.
He didn't mean to mislead me, and I don't feel like I was misled. And I think I have more masochistic tendencies than I thought, but I still know for a fact that I don't think that I can handle his level of sadism in its full-blown glory.
Oh, yeah.
I think that
the wolf is something.
Yeah,
baby.
I think I would be safe wording like 40 going north. That's what I think, because I'm just not that heavy of a bottom. I'm just not. So that kind of situation, and like I was saying before, sometimes people don't know. We're still newer, been at this a few years. You know what I'm saying? We're newer, so we're still finding ourselves. So we, give each other mercy and grace for that. Luckily, we're also non-monogamous. So I'm not gonna lie, even though I'm an old school non-monogamous, I still sometimes worry about, man, is he gonna forget about me when he get a, shiny new person to play with, whatever. I still kind of, my little ego gets in the way a little bit every now and again, but I don't have any antics really about that.
Nope.
But I do feel that. But at the same time, I want him to have someone whom with whom he can fully experience and fully express his sadism. I want him to have that. I want him to be able to use that bullwhip on somebody without any reservation about if they're gonna safe word or is she enjoying this or whatever. I want him to be able to experience that. So I don't feel I feel like when you're in a situation and you're in non-monogamy, a non-monogamous DS or non-monogamous MS situation, you have a little more leeway in terms of fit because you need to fit in the major ways that are really, really important to you. But then if there are some ways that you are not exactly a good fit, you know what I mean? And they're not like majorly important to you, then you may be okay still. As long as the basic main stuff is working, and that person can get their needs met somewhere else with another person, and you can get your needs met somewhere else with another person, depending on what they are and the nature of your dynamic and what's allowed and so forth. So that to me is a perk of non-monogamy, is that you don't have to depend. Like, I wouldn't be able to make it if you wanted to be with me with that bullwhip. I can't. Not all the time. I could do a little of it. Oh Lord, it just.
And it is my favorite.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
Well,
it's who you are.
I would like to be able to do it better, more. You know what I mean? But I know myself, and I know that I'm not there. You know what I mean? So and I'm okay with that.
You sure?
Well, kind of. I'm working on being okay with it. Let me just say it like that. I'm working on being more.
I'm okay with it.
I'm more okay with it than I used to be. I used to be upset about it and like wishing that I was different, for a minute in terms of that. But I've learned to be more okay with it. And I get more and more okay with it. I think I would be even more okay with it if you had a play partner, a regular play partner that you could, indulge with and y'all could mutually satisfy each other. At least the play partner that, that regular play partner, not just somebody that you play with every, month, every 6 months or something, but someone regular that you play with. I would feel better about it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it ain't about me. It's about me wanting for you what you want for you.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but at any rate.
Are we getting all...
we
getting all mushy on the podcast? Are we getting mushy?
Well,
I will say one of the feedbacks that I have gotten from the podcast, which I appreciated, that you all do pick up that we genuinely like each other.
Yeah, we do like each other.
And this is not, and that's why this project and everything has become easier, because this is kind of how we normally talk. It's not very much. No. We might write down a few notes, a little bit, but
nothing is scripted. It's completely unscripted.
It is completely unscripted. We just
talking. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end, but I got my few little outro service, and this is going to probably be my thing because you kind of do the disclaimer in the beginning.
Yes, I do.
And the outro will be my thing.
Okay.
2 things to go out on. I said in the last episode that we'll probably be changing the name of the podcast at some point. Feel free to, shoot me a suggestion if you really think you have a good one. Don't get mad if I don't choose it. Don't top from the bottom. The other thing is that we're gonna have more guests on the show. Some people that I know in the community, get some different perspectives. We had, I think the only guest we've had so far is Sugar Bush. We're gonna get her back in here, and there's some other people that I'm gonna bring on to kind of get different perspectives. Oh, and we will be at Self. We'll be at Southeast Leatherfest. We will probably be recording at least one episode from Self, interviewing / a round table with some dominance. Have at least a dominant round table at self, and possibly a submissive round table episode at self. So if you all have any burning questions, we'll be glad to accept those and kind of get an idea of that. You can email me
Inbox.
or inbox at,
or comment on
or
the,
comment.
Can you comment on the YouTube channel? Do you
Yeah,
allow
you
comments?
you can put comments on the YouTube channel. So we're looking at this, and we're also at some point going to have, I said in the last episode, at some point we're also going to have a fundraiser. There's some equipment. As long as you all keep supporting, we will keep doing this. Have a little bit of a fundraiser so we can upgrade some equipment, microphones. I don't think we'll need a computer, but microphones and a sound mixer and some other little things. I'm not expecting anything more from the support that I'm willing to give, so I'm not probably the limit on the fundraiser will probably be somewhere around $500. So it's not like we're asking for a lot, but give us your support, and we will continue to serve you all and serve the community as best we can, and be the bridge between not preaching, not teaching, just talking, and being a conversation starter for those in your world. So I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing your feedback as usual. Have a great day.